You know that feeling when your gut tells you something's wrong? That sick, twisting sensation in your stomach that you try to ignore because acknowledging it means your whole world might fall apart? I should have listened to mine 3 months ago. My name's Elena, and this is the story of how one ordinary Tuesday afternoon turned into the most devastating and strangest day of my entire life. It started like any other day. My husband, Derek, had the day off from his job at the engineering firm. He said he was going to catch up on yard work and finally organize our cluttered storage room in the detached garage. You know, that project every homeowner swears they'll tackle this weekend for about 2 years straight. I was working from home as usual, taking client calls from our upstairs office. We'd been married for 8 years. 8 years of what I thought was a solid, if somewhat routine marriage. Derek was reliable. Steady. Maybe a little boring, if I'm being honest, but in a comfortable way. Our neighbor, Vanessa, lived 3 doors down with her husband, Kyle, and their 2 kids. She was one of those women who seemed to have it all together. PTA president, marathon runner, always perfectly dressed, even when she was just running errands. We weren't close friends, but we were friendly. Neighborhood barbecues, the occasional borrowed cup of sugar, that sort of thing. Around 2 in the afternoon, I finished a particularly draining conference call. I needed coffee. Strong coffee. As I walked past the bedroom window that overlooked our backyard, I glanced out. The storage room door was closed. That's when I felt it. That gut feeling I mentioned. Derek had said he was organizing the storage room. Why would the door be closed? It was a beautiful spring day, and that room got stuffy. He always kept the door propped open when he worked in there. I told myself I was being paranoid. Maybe he'd stepped out for a moment. Maybe he was taking a break. But I couldn't shake it. I walked downstairs, refilled my coffee mug, and casually strolled into our backyard. The birds were chirping. Our golden retriever, Cooper, was sleeping in the sun. Everything looked perfectly normal. Except for that closed storage room door. I approached slowly, my heart starting to pound. That's when I heard it. Laughter. Soft, intimate laughter that definitely wasn't coming from just one person. My hand trembled as I reached for the door handle. Part of me wanted to turn around, walk back into the house and pretend I'd heard nothing. The other part of me needed to know. I turned the handle as quietly as possible and pulled the door open just a crack. What I saw made my blood run cold. Derek and Vanessa, in our storage room. His hands on her waist, her fingers running through his hair, their lips locked like teenagers at prom. I stood there frozen for what felt like an eternity, but was probably only 3 seconds. My brain couldn't process what my eyes were seeing. This was Derek, my Derek, the man who brought me coffee in bed every Sunday, who remembered to DVR my favorite shows, who still kissed me goodbye every morning. And Vanessa, perfect Vanessa, with her perfect life and perfect family. They were so absorbed in each other that they didn't even notice me standing there. That's when something inside me snapped. Not into tears, not into screaming, into something cold and calculating that I didn't even know existed inside me. I slowly, silently pulled the door closed and locked it. The storage room door locked from the outside, a safety feature Derek had installed himself to keep the kids in the neighborhood from accidentally locking themselves in. The irony wasn't lost on me. I heard Derek's voice muffled through the door. "Hey, did the door just..." I didn't wait to hear the rest. I walked back into the house, grabbed my phone, and scrolled through my contacts until I found what I was looking for. Kyle Patterson, Vanessa's husband. My finger hovered over the call button. This was it. The point of no return. Once I made this call, I couldn't take it back. Lives would be destroyed, families would be shattered, children would be hurt. But they'd already made that choice, hadn't they? Derek and Vanessa had already crossed that line. I pressed call. It rang twice before Kyle's cheerful voice answered. "Elena, hey, what's up?" I took a deep breath. My voice came out surprisingly steady. Kyle, I need you to come to my house right now. Don't ask questions. Don't call Vanessa. Just come. It's important. There was a pause. Is everything okay? Are you hurt? I'm fine, but you need to see something. Please, just trust me and come now. I'll be there in 5 minutes. I hung up and walked back outside. By now, Derek was pounding on the door. Elena, is someone out there? The door's locked. We're stuck in here. We're stuck in here. Not even trying to hide it. They'd gone from making out to problem solving as a team. I sat down in one of our patio chairs, sipped my coffee, and waited. Cooper wandered over and put his head in my lap. I scratched behind his ears and tried to keep my hands from shaking. 4 minutes later, Kyle's truck pulled into our driveway.
Kyle came around the side of the house, his face creased with concern. He was still in his work clothes, button-down shirt, khakis, his company ID badge still clipped to his belt. Elena, what's going on? You sounded... I held up a hand to stop him and pointed at the storage room door. Your wife is in there with my husband. The color drained from Kyle's face. What? What do you mean, in there? Exactly what I said. I came out about 10 minutes ago and found them together. I locked the door. They don't know you're here. Kyle stared at me like I'd just told him the sky was purple. That's impossible. Vanessa is supposed to be at a PTA meeting. She left an hour ago. Did she? I took another sip of coffee. I was surprised by how calm I felt. It was like I was watching myself from outside my own body. Derek's voice came through the door again, more urgent now. Hello? Anyone out there? We need help. Kyle's jaw clenched. He took a step toward the door. Wait, I said. Before you open it, I think you should know what you're about to see. I can't. Kyle ran his hands through his hair. How long has this been going on? I have no idea. This is the first I knew about it. Jesus. Kyle paced back and forth. My kids. Oh God, my kids. I know. We stood there in my backyard, two people whose lives had just imploded, listening to our spouses call for help from inside a locked storage room. It would have been almost funny if it weren't so devastating. Finally, Kyle straightened his shoulders. Okay, open it. I pulled the key from my pocket and unlocked the door. The look on their faces when the door swung open was something I'll never forget. Derek saw me first. His face went from relief to confusion to absolute horror in about 2 seconds. Elena, I can explain. Then Vanessa saw Kyle. She actually gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Hi, honey, Kyle said, his voice dripping with acid. How was the PTA meeting? Vanessa's face turned white. Kyle, this isn't... You were just what? Kyle's voice rose. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you were making out with our neighbor's husband in their storage room. Derek held up his hands. Look, everyone just calm down. We can talk about this like adults. That's when I laughed. I couldn't help it. The absurdity of him telling us to calm down, standing there with lipstick on his collar, asking us to be adults. Adults? I set down my coffee mug. Adults don't sneak around behind their spouses' backs. Adults don't lock themselves in storage rooms with other people's partners. It's not what it looks like, Vanessa desperately said. Kyle's laugh was bitter. Really? Because it looks like an affair. What else could it possibly look like? Here's where things took an unexpected turn. Vanessa squared her shoulders and looked directly at Kyle. You want to know what this is? Fine. Derek and I have been seeing each other for 4 months. 4 months, Kyle. And you know what? You never even noticed. Neither of you did. The defiance in her voice shocked me. This wasn't the apologetic, caught-in-the-act response I had expected. Derek shot her a look that clearly said, shut up. But Vanessa was on a roll. You want to know why? Because you're never home, Kyle. You work 60 hours a week. The kids go to bed asking where daddy is. I eat dinner alone 5 nights out of 7. I've been lonely for years. Kyle's face reddened. So this is my fault? You're cheating on me because I work too much? No, it's not your fault. It's my choice. And yes, it was wrong, but I'm not going to stand here and pretend I'm the only villain in this story. She turned to me. And you, Elena? When's the last time you actually looked at Derek? Really looked at him? Asked him how his day was and actually listened to the answer? You live in the same house like roommates, not partners. I felt like I had been slapped. Don't you dare, I said quietly. Don't you dare try to blame me for your choices. If Derek was unhappy, he could have talked to me. He could have suggested counseling. He could have done literally anything except sneak around with you. Derek finally found his voice. She's not wrong, Elena. We've been drifting apart for over a year. I tried to talk to you about it. Remember when I suggested we go on that weekend trip? Or when I asked if we could start having date nights again? You were always too busy with work. So you decided to have date nights with Vanessa instead? It wasn't planned, Derek said quietly. We ran into each other at the coffee shop one day, started talking. One thing led to another. One thing led to another, I repeated. That's your excuse? One thing led to another? Kyle had been quiet during this exchange, but now he turned to Vanessa. 4 months. 4 months! You've been lying to my face? Lying to our children. Every PTA meeting, every girls' night out, every volunteer shift at the school, how many of those were real? Most of them were real. We only saw each other once or twice a week, usually during the day, when I was at work providing for our family. Kyle finished. When Elena was working upstairs so Derek could sneak out and meet you? The 4 of us stood there in the afternoon sun, years of marriage and friendship imploding around us. Then Kyle did something that surprised everyone. He turned to me and said, Elena, do you have any wine?
20 minutes later, Kyle and I were sitting at my kitchen table with a bottle of Pinot Grigio between us. Derek and Vanessa were still in the backyard, sitting on opposite ends of the patio, not talking to each other. This is surreal, Kyle said, refilling both our glasses. I should be yelling, throwing things. Instead, I'm drinking wine with my wife's affair partner's wife. Is there even a word for what we are to each other? Betrayal buddies? I suggested darkly. Kyle actually smiled. That's terrible. I like it. We sat in silence for a moment. Through the kitchen window, I could see Derek on his phone, probably texting his lawyer, or his brother, or Googling what to do when your wife catches you cheating. How did you know? What made you check the storage room? I told him about the gut feeling, the closed door, the laughter. He nodded slowly. I should have had gut feelings. Looking back, there were signs. She was happier, singing in the car, new underwear. She said she was just feeling good about herself, working out more. I believed her because I wanted to believe her. Derek started wearing cologne. He never wore cologne before. And he'd shower as soon as he came home from running errands. I thought he was just being considerate, didn't want to be sweaty around me. Kyle laughed bitterly. God, we're idiots. No, I said firmly, we're not idiots. We're people who trusted our partners. That's what you're supposed to do in a marriage. They're the ones who betrayed that trust. So what now? Kyle asked. Do we forgive them? Go to counseling? Get divorced? I have no idea what I'm supposed to do here. Before I could answer, the back door opened. Vanessa walked in, her eyes red from crying. Can I talk to Elena alone? She asked quietly. Kyle stood up. That's up to Elena. I nodded. It's fine. Kyle took his wine glass and went outside. Through the window, I saw him walk right past Derek without a word. Vanessa sat down across from me.
She looked smaller somehow, less perfect. "I know you probably hate me," she started. "I don't hate you," I said honestly. "I don't really know what I feel. This whole thing is so bizarre that I haven't fully processed it yet. What I said out there about you and Derek, I shouldn't have said that. I was defensive and lashing out. Your marriage problems, if you even have any, aren't my business, and they certainly don't justify what I did." I studied her face. She looked genuinely remorseful. "Why did you do it? And don't give me the lonely housewife excuse. Lots of people are lonely. They don't all cheat." Vanessa was quiet for a long moment. "Honestly, because it felt good to be wanted. Kyle and I were business partners raising kids together. We split the chores, managed the calendar, tag team bedtime. But romance? Passion? That died years ago. Derek paid attention to me. He listened. He made me feel like I was interesting and desirable, and not just someone who existed to manage everyone else's lives. So you risked everything, your marriage, your family, your kids' stability, because you felt unappreciated? When you say it like that, it sounds incredibly selfish." "Because it is incredibly selfish, Vanessa." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I know it is, and I have to live with that. But Elena, can I ask you something?" "What?" "When's the last time you felt passionate about Derek? When's the last time you looked at him and felt your heart skip a beat? When's the last time you initiated intimacy or planned a surprise for him or did anything that wasn't part of the routine?" I wanted to snap at her, to tell her it was none of her business, but the words stuck in my throat because I couldn't remember. I genuinely could not remember the last time I'd done any of those things. "That's what I thought," Vanessa said softly. "I'm not saying this to excuse what I did, but maybe both of our marriages were already in trouble. Maybe Derek and I were just a symptom, not the disease." "Get out," I said quietly. "Elena." "Get out of my house, Vanessa. Go deal with your husband and your marriage and your guilty conscience, but get out of my house." Vanessa left. I sat alone at the kitchen table, the half-empty wine bottle in front of me, and let myself finally feel everything I'd been holding back. The anger, the betrayal, the humiliation, the heartbreak. And underneath it all, the uncomfortable truth that maybe Vanessa was right. Maybe Derek and I had been sleepwalking through our marriage for years. Maybe we'd been so focused on careers and routines and daily logistics that we'd forgotten we were supposed to be partners, lovers, best friends. But that still didn't excuse what he'd done, what they both had done. An hour later, Kyle knocked on my back door. He'd sent Vanessa home. She'd left looking devastated, and honestly, I was glad. Derek was still in the backyard, sitting on the patio, staring at nothing. "I should go," Kyle said. "I need to figure out what I'm going to tell the kids. They think Vanessa's at a PTA meeting and I'm at work." "Kyle," I called as he headed for the gate. "Yeah?" "Are you going to stay with her?" He was quiet for a long moment. "I don't know. Part of me wants to burn it all down and start over. Part of me thinks about my kids waking up in a split household and feels sick. And a small part of me wonders if she's right, if I've been so focused on providing that I forgot to be present. That doesn't excuse what she did." "No," he agreed, "it doesn't. But it might explain it. And maybe that matters." After Kyle left, I finally went outside to face Derek. He looked up at me with tears in his eyes. "Elena, Don't say you're sorry. Don't make excuses. I just need to know one thing. Do you love her?" Derek's face crumbled. "I don't know. I thought I did. Maybe I just loved feeling alive again, feeling wanted, feeling like I mattered to someone." You mattered to me. Did I? When's the last time you told me that? When's the last time we had a real conversation that wasn't about bills or chores or what was for dinner? I sat down next to him, not close, but not distant either. So what happens now? I asked. I don't know, Derek said honestly. What do you want to happen? And that right there was the million-dollar question.
We sat there in silence for what felt like hours, but was probably only 10 minutes. The sun was starting to set, casting long shadows across the yard. Cooper had wandered back inside, probably confused about why his humans were acting so strange. I want honesty, I finally said. Complete, brutal honesty. No more lies, no more excuses. I need to understand what happened here. Derek nodded. Okay, what do you want to know? Everything. Start from the beginning. When did this start? Derek took a deep breath. 4 months ago. Late July. I was at the coffee shop on Morrison Street. Vanessa came in. We'd always been friendly, but that day, I don't know, we started talking about books. She'd just finished reading this thriller I'd been wanting to read. We talked for an hour. An hour? I repeated. Yeah, and Elena, it felt good. She laughed at my jokes. She asked follow-up questions. She seemed genuinely interested in what I had to say. When's the last time we had a conversation like that? I wanted to argue, but he had a point. So you exchanged numbers? Not that day, but we kept running into each other. Same coffee shop, same time. After the third time, it felt intentional. It was intentional. We both knew what we were doing. When did it become physical? Derek shifted uncomfortably. About 6 weeks ago. We'd been texting, meeting for coffee. Then, one day, she asked if I could help her move some boxes in her garage while Kyle was at work. One thing led to. Don't say one thing led to another, I interrupted. You made choices. Both of you made specific choices. You're right. I kissed her in her garage, and she kissed me back. And we kept making that choice over and over for 6 weeks. My chest felt tight. Where? Where did you meet? Her place when Kyle was at work, the storage room when you were on calls, once in my car at the park. Elena, I know how pathetic this sounds. I know I'm the villain here. You're not the villain, I said quietly. You're human. A human who made terrible choices, but human. The villain would be someone who didn't care that they hurt people. Derek looked at me with surprise. You're not yelling. You're not throwing things. Why aren't you angrier? Oh, I'm furious. I'm so angry, I can barely breathe. But screaming won't change anything. It won't undo what you did. It won't make me feel better. So I need to understand instead. What do you want to understand? Why wasn't I enough? The question came out smaller than I intended. Vulnerable. Derek's face crumpled. I was always enough. You are enough. This wasn't about you not being enough. It was about me feeling invisible. Like I was just a paycheck and a handyman and someone to split chores with. When's the last time you looked at me like you were happy to see me? When's the last time you touched me just because you wanted to? Not because it was bedtime and we were going through the motions. The truth in his words stung. So you went looking for someone who would. He didn't go looking, but when he found it, he didn't walk away. We sat with that for a moment. Do you want a divorce? Derek asked quietly. I don't know. Do you? No, but I don't know if that matters. I don't know if you can ever trust me again. I don't know if I deserve the chance to earn that trust back. I looked at him, really looked at him, for the first time in what felt like years. He looked older, tired, sad, but underneath all of that, I could still see the man I'd married, the man who made me laugh until I cried on our second date, the man who held my hand during my dad's funeral, the man who stayed up all night with me when I was anxious about a big presentation.
That man was still in there. But so was the man who betrayed me. I need time, I said. I need space to think. I need you to move out for a while. Derek's eyes widened. Alina, not permanently. Not yet. But I can't make decisions about our marriage while you're sleeping in the same bed where you came home to me after being with her. I need clarity. And I can't have that with you here. Where will I go? Your brother's, a hotel, I don't care. But you need to pack a bag and leave tonight. Derek nodded slowly. Okay, that's fair. But Elena, before I go, I need you to know something. What? I love you. I never stopped loving you. What I did with Vanessa, it was about me being weak and selfish and stupid, but it was never because I stopped loving you. I felt tears prick my eyes. Love isn't just a feeling, Derek. It's a choice. It's actions. It's showing up every day and choosing your partner over and over again. You stopped choosing me. That's what hurts the most. 3 days later, I was sitting in a coffee shop, ironically, not the one where Derek and Vanessa had their first extended conversation, when my phone rang. It was Kyle. Hey, I answered. Hey, how are you holding up? I'm existing. You? Same. Listen, I know this is weird, but would you want to grab lunch? I feel like you're the only person who understands what I'm going through. We met at a small Italian restaurant downtown. Kyle looked like he hadn't slept much either. He said Vanessa moved in with her sister. He told her she needed to give him space. The kids think she's helping her sister with a project. I don't know how long I can keep lying to them. Have you decided what you're going to do? Kyle swirled his water glass. I go back and forth every 5 minutes. One moment I think we can fix it, go to therapy, work through it. The next moment I'm looking at divorce lawyers online. How do you decide to throw away 15 years of marriage? I don't know. But I also don't know how you stay with someone who broke your trust so completely. Have you talked to Derek? A few times. He's staying with his brother. He wants to do counseling. He sent me flowers yesterday with a card that said, "I'm sorry," about 50 times. Kyle smiled sadly. Vanessa keeps texting me articles about couples who survived infidelity. Like if she just sends me enough positive stories, I'll forget what she did. What do you want, Kyle? Not what's best for the kids, or what makes sense financially, or what people expect. What do you actually want? He was quiet for a long moment. I want to go back to 6 months ago when I didn't know any of this, when I still believed my wife was faithful and my marriage was solid. But since I can't have that, I don't know. Part of me still loves her. Part of me hates her. And a big part of me is just exhausted. I feel the same way, I admitted. Derek hurt me in a way I didn't think was possible, but I also can't ignore 8 years of history, 8 years of good memories and inside jokes and shared experiences. Do those things stop mattering because of 4 months of betrayal? My therapist asked me something yesterday. She asked if I could forgive